Our lawyer now joins us briefly in studio to try and break down this whole situation for us. Nabil, thank you so much for coming on Monday Special.
Thank you.
So what does this all really mean?
It basically means that Kenya is referred to the Assembly of State Parties, which is the constitutive organ of state parties that forms the ICC. Now, what is important are the steps that the Assembly of State Parties can take. There are formal steps that it can take by writing officially to Kenya to ask it to respond to this, and then to try and hold other diplomatic channel meetings around, and eventually this culminates into a resolution. If there is any resolution, it will reach.
All right. Let me quote what it said. The Chamber, the decision in part reads, considers that ASP would be best placed to address the lack of cooperation in order to provide an incentive for the Kenyan government to cooperate with the court. Is that a nice way of saying to sanction Kenya?
Basically, the options of the Assembly of State Parties are limited, and sanctioning in that sense might not be the proper way to go about it. It's just to encourage the Assembly of State Parties to try to use other diplomatic measures to talk to Kenya, because as this decision says, it's not just for this case. It's probably a general way to ensure there is cooperation in the future, because there is an open investigation in Kenya and other issues that may arise in the future.
You say the sanction may not be the best way, but it's a possibility?
Well, I don't think the Assembly of State Parties would want to exercise that, and it wouldn't have any real powers to do anything drastic to Kenya. The worst it can do is expel Kenya from the statute, but I don't think it would do that.
Yeah, so right now they're just pushing for cooperation, but what would the implications then be for Kenyatta's case? Well,
Kenyatta's case was terminated, and as earlier on, when the trial chamber had refused to refer Kenya to the Assembly of State Parties, the trial chamber had indicated that even though this the evidence or the cooperation that the prosecutor required was to be effected, it would still not have an impact on the case. However, the appeals chamber reversed that and told them that you cannot conflate the two, the case and the cooperation issue. So now the cooperation might not be useful for the case, because the case already is terminated and there might not be a chance to revive it, but it's just for a general usage of the court, especially because it might want to look at other issues in Kenya.
All right. I know you might have touched on it briefly, but as we wind up then, what then remains some of the options going forward? I'm sure there's some people watching and following up on the question I asked, what does this mean for Kenyatta's case? What are the consequences going forward, especially for Kenya?
Kenya now has a chance to engage with the Assembly of State Parties, not really to litigate the issue of whether they had cooperated with the court or not, but to dialogue with the Assembly of State Parties, especially on issues of why they were unable to do some of the things the court asked them to do. And it's important for the future, especially for the court, in any other situations, in any other states, to resolve these issues around cooperation and the disagreements between the Office of the Prosecution and the state. So it's a good chance for Kenya and the Assembly of State Parties, at least, to have this dialogue and move it forward.
And move it forward and see the best way. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. We wait and see what happens. Nabil Orina, lawyer, breaking down that.